Welcome to the Zero Gravity Production video series. In this edition, we'll be assembling, testing, and troubleshooting a zero gravity shade. The items needed for assembly are the spring, the correct tube adapter, the shaft lock, the shaft cutting tool, the tube with attached fabric, the end plug, a sun-boss bracket, the blue locking clip, the spline, a stapler, scissors, the dual-face bottom rail, the bottom rail end caps, and a non-marring hammer. Additional items that may be needed are 10-inch weights, a cassette, cassette brackets, a screwdriver, cassette end caps, and painter's tape or masking tape. Attaching the dual-face bottom rail. With the back side of the fabric facing upwards, peel the adhesive from the spline and attach it to the fabric's back lower edge by gently laying the spline onto the fabric. Then apply pressure. Secure further in multiple places with staples spaced at 1-foot intervals. Trim the excess spline. Press the staples flat. Fold the fabric over the spline, then insert the fabric with spline into the dual-face bottom rail. Avoid moving the fabric during this process, only move the bottom rail. Reading the spring chart. Using the zero gravity spring chart, make sure to enter the correct fabric weight, tube size, and bottom rail style. In this example, a 14 ounce per square yard fabric weight was chosen, and a 1.5-inch tube is being used with a dual-face bottom rail. Use the chart to find the shade width. Then follow the width to the desired drop. Use the spring information in the selected square. In this example, the information is L1-11. L is for light spring, M would indicate a medium spring, and H would indicate a heavy spring. To the right of the L is the position scale. The scale ranges from 0 to 16. In this example, 1 is chosen. The number after the dash is the maximum number of preturns required. Assembly. There are 2 settings to be done for the zero gravity spring. The spring shaft side must be set first. Then the spring head side should be set. Setting the spring shaft side. On the spring shaft side, open the shaft lock device and remove the lock. Using the correct tube adapter, 1.5-inch, 2-inch, or 2.5-inch, introduce the adapter into the spring shaft side. An audible click will be heard upon successful assembly. Once locked, the adapter cannot be removed easily. Using the U aluminum shaft and scale, move the scale to the appropriate setting number. In this case, the number is 1. Insert the shaft lock device and lock the shaft. For a narrow shade, cut the excess from the U-shaft. If the shade has room, the U-shaft may remain uncut. Install the end plug into the tube. Gently tap with a hammer. Assemble the spring into the tube. Make sure the hooks face downward with the fabric drop. Then insert the spring head into position. The zero gravity spring head is always assembled on the left side for standard roll. For reverse roll, the spring head must be assembled on the right side. There are 2 ways to set the spring head side, using a bracket or using the hanging station. Setting the spring head side using a bracket. Confirm the number of preturns needed using the chart provided. Attach the sun-boss bracket to the spring head, making sure the lock spring is pressed. Hold the spring body in one hand and the bracket in the other. Turning clockwise, apply the correct number of turns. When the number of turns has been reached, remove the bracket. Make sure the lock pin is extended out. If not, turn the spring head slightly until the lock pin engages. Use the blue locking clip to lock the spring into place. This will prevent losing any preturns. Setting the spring head side using the hanging station. Install the shade. Once the shade is installed, the lock spring will be compressed. Wrap paper or scrap fabric around the shade for protection. Confirm the number of pre-turns needed using the chart provided. Apply the pre-turns by rolling the tube counterclockwise, following the number of turns on the spring chart. Testing. Check the shade to make sure it is working properly. Pull the bottom rail down and release. The shade should not move and should stay in any position. Troubleshooting. If the shade is not working as desired, make sure the proper spring chart was used. Double-check the fabric weight, and make sure the dual-face bottom rail was used. Using a different bottom rail can compromise the shade operation. Also, check the width of the light gap. When dealing with a smaller light gap, like when the roller shade will be used in a cassette, more pre-turns may be needed. If troubleshooting confirms it is not one of those issues, try the following steps. If the bottom rail moves down but not up, more pre-turns need to be applied. If the bottom rail moves up, there are too many pre-turns. Return one or more turns by moving the bottom rail through the back and over the top of the shade. If extra weight is needed, it can be applied using 10-inch pieces. If one piece is needed, slide it to the center of the shade. If 2 pieces are needed, put one on each side of the shade. Insert the end caps into the bottom rail and gently tap with a hammer. When removing the finished shade from the hanging station, be sure to hold the spring head, not allowing it to unravel. Use the blue locking clip to lock the spring into place. This will prevent losing any pre-turns. Assembling the cassette. To assemble the cassette, insert the brackets. Gently tap with a hammer. Then screw the brackets into place. Remove the blue locking clip from the spring head and insert the shade into the cassette. Place the end caps onto the cassette and screw into place. Packaging. When packaging zero gravity, follow these procedures to ensure the tension in the springs remains set to the factory settings during shipping. If the product is open roll, locate the pinhole on the bottom of the spring head. Insert the blue clip into the pinhole, making sure the bottom tab fits into the spring head groove. If the product is sold in a cassette, the shade must be secured in place by taping the bottom rail to the outside of the cassette with painter's tape or masking tape. Note: installation instructions should be sent with every zero-gravity shade. Include the number of turns needed to reset the shade should it lose its tension and freight. Thank you for watching the Zero Gravity Production video series. For more information and to watch additional videos, please visit our website.